All right, we're doing a much requested draft recap. Very interesting draft. Probably one of the best, or at least most interesting in league history. Really, if you know what you're doing, you are at a huge advantage in this draft. And not many people do, is the thing. So I would say, as just a quick, we're going to get into it a little more detail here, but quick overview. Probably, I mean, Toe won the draft. That's a fact. That's indisputable. I would put myself also up there, and I think I would maybe put King up there as like three, maybe, the top quarter drafters. I might change my opinion on that, though, as we go through everything. And then I think there's a clear bottom three. There's obviously Hoot, who didn't even try, barely showed up, like cuddled with his girlfriend mid-draft. Basically a bannable offense, in my opinion. Guy auto-drafted. I mean, he has Brian Hoyer, he has Marcus Mariota, he has Matt Breida, he has Jameis Winston, just textbook auto draft. Then we also have Aiko, who didn't auto draft, but you actually would not know it by looking at his bench roster here. Just making zero brain cell decisions after his first two picks, just zero brain activity the rest of the way. And then a third person who actually I think had a terrible draft is going to be Zell. Did get some decent deals, but just overall kind of could have done a lot more. So looking at Toe's team, $67 Patrick Mahomes, not like the best deal, I would say, especially with Kelsey injury. Probably QB3 in reality, but Toe was he QB? So he was QB2 in actuality, which is fine. I mean, it's whatever. It's not a deal. But it's fine. Cooper Kupp, apparently everyone thought this was like an incredible deal. I think it's like at value probably. So nothing like, how long is the guy going to be out for? He's seeing a specialist in Minnesota. He's like 35 years old. Most of his career sucked and had like 2 good seasons. I think he's just like also not as good as he's been. I guess with Stafford, he'll probably be good, but if he plays. Before we go through the rest of Toe's team, the general pace and trends of the draft. So early on, you were getting deals. So if we're looking like, I wish you could just see the draft in draft order, like the order they were picked. I don't think there's a feature for that. But essentially, 2 early running backs went cheap. Early QBs were going for, pretty high prices, at least above the historical norm, especially like QB3, QB4. But the landscape is a little bit different, so it's probably justified, like, because there's probably like a clear, I would say, top 4. Some say 3, I'd say probably 4. And then 2 cheap running backs go. So right off the bat, like, we're under pace for the draft. So if you don't have a guy, you're getting a little uncomfortable. That's the position I was in. And I kept waiting, actually, and I was getting very nervous. We'll get to my draft in a little bit. But essentially, if you didn't have a guy by, like, pick 15, you were at a disadvantage because the early guys went for deals. And then really what you didn't want to be doing was, like, just massing Deebo Samuel to Mike Evans. You want 0 of those guys, preferably. Spending like the worst picks in the draft are like Tyler Lockett 21, like any of these guys in the near $20. These are just really bad picks. All of these are bad. Yeah, really this range right here was just all really bad, except for like Judy, Kirk. But it's mostly based on the timing of when they went. So the first like probably 30-ish picks were relatively good deals. You can tell everyone kind of wanted QBs. QBs were going for expensive, which is why Tua was such a steal. I don't know how he only went for 29. Lawrence was also, I would say, a pretty good deal. First 20 or so picks were good deals, and then you had like the next 50 to 70 picks were probably at value or slightly above. And from there, things started unfolding. to where it became apparent that you wanted to have money at the end. So the ideal scenario, which kind of, I think I did this, Tarek kind of did this, except he botched it at the end. King did this, I noticed. And I think Toe also did, which is basically you get a few expensive guys early, then you wait just for like 2 hours, and then you load up late. That was the ideal strategy for the draft. So back to what happened. So Toe's team, you got Debo 29. It's probably an overpay, slight overpay, depending on how you feel about him. DK 28. It's fine. I've kind of an overpay. I mean, in my mind, like there's a big tier gap here. So like you don't want these two guys, which Toe has. And then Toe did load up on, like, this is nice. You like to see it. $11 Cam Akers, $11 James Cook, $12 J.K. Dobbins. Complementing his QB and receiver heavy draft. My only real critique of his team is I don't like the receivers that much. So, like, if you look at his team here and maybe you take away Debo and DK Metcalf, obviously I'd much rather have Higgins for the same price. Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen. I'm kind of in on Keenan Allen. I think he'll be good again. Devontae Smith. Give him any of those guys instead of his bad receivers that he got for the same price, and his team is just a lock for, like, top 3. And then also the bench is looking strong. Strong bench. You know, Toe always has a strong bench, though. If you're not an idiot, you have a strong bench. This is what Ako should have done. He has 1 receiver and 2 bad guys in his starting lineup at receiver, and he has 0 receivers on the bench. This is what Ako's bench should look like. Just pure potential receivers. But Ako's lost. Doesn't know what he's doing. So overall, Toe, draft grade, A+. Easily A+. Then we're going on to Hoot, who was barely there yesterday. Pure auto draft, which I didn't know was allowed. Pure auto draft on the bench. Brian Hoyer, Matt Breida. I mean, you just are immediately dropping the entire bench, basically. I think his last real pick was maybe Rondell Moore. So as far as value goes, Hurts for 69. It's not really value. It's fine value. It's fine. It's nothing special. It's not a deal, but you're not going to get a deal. You're just looking to lock in points, basically, with these top QBs. I guess Hurts has some upside, you could say, too, because maybe he underperformed last year, even though he had like a million rushing touchdowns from the 1-yard line. Saquon 48 is fine. I prefer other guys for similar prices like Pollard or Chubb, but Saquon's fine. Hawkinson was probably the biggest overpay at tight end, but it's not egregious, I guess. Brian Robinson was good price. At the time he went, it wasn't good. So the time the deals really started going was around, you could kind of foresee it coming around pick 100, but it was really kicking into high gear around like pick 115, 120 is where, if you're paying attention, you know what's happening. So Jahan Dotson, 11. So some errors. If you see a pick like in the early 100s and it's an overpay, that's the biggest error you can make in the draft. There's just immense potential value sitting out there waiting to be picked up, and you're going $11 Jahan Dotson. It's just pretty unforgivable. It kind of submarines your entire draft, and it is value. Like, I would say $11 Jahan Dotson's value, but you're taking some value and you're leaving probably a lot more on the table. Jimmy Garoppolo, $10, pretty bad, especially for the time he went. Pick 115, just the middle of the deal zone. Not great. Sky Moore, Deion Jackson, pretty good value. So overall, Hoot didn't do terrible, I would say. Let me look at the starting lineup. What do we got? Receivers could be a bit of a slow start. Yeah, the thing that's tough for Hoot is he doesn't have much depth, and he's not the type of guy to really churn the roster and find something off waivers. I think he's going to struggle this year, but I could see Sky Moore, Jahan Dotson both producing pretty well. Overall, I'm going to go C minus as a draft grade for Hoot. Could have been a lot worse. Then we got Kevo. Haven't looked at his team too much, but from what I remember, pretty good draft. So let's get to Kevo here. Okay. Starts off with $35 Travis Kelce. It's fine. Probably a slight value, except I'm a little nervous about the knee. Like, could just miss the whole season. It's not out of the question. I guess they said ACL intact, but like, what does that mean exactly, really? His knee's swelling up. I guess worst or best case scenario, it's like a 4-week like meniscus thing or something, but I don't know. Swollen knee's not good. Derrick Henry, 43, huge overpay, but it's Kevo. I guess not even that huge, but it's fine. Anthony Richardson, pretty good deal actually. I would take Anthony Richardson for 27 if I could do it again. I mean, best values at QB is going to be Tua for sure, and then probably Lawrence I would say next, and then that not a ton of deals. Like Jordan Love was fine, but he went at a time where there was more value to be had if you just didn't take him for $13. So I wouldn't call that. It is a value on paper, but overall not the biggest. Yeah, it's tough. I guess like Josh Allen's pretty good value. I don't know. It's hard to say. Not a lot of value at QB really. Probably Anthony Richardson is third or fourth best value. Deshaun Watson, I guess. He goes DeAndre Hopkins, which I don't really like. Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, just completely uninspiring receivers, but I guess you can say he got good value on them. Just not a lot of upside really at all. Yeah, just don't love it. Like, looking at the bench, you'd like to at least see, like, why are you drafting Adam Thielen when you have like already 3 starting really old zero upside receivers? Probably want to go upside at receiver on the bench, not Juju Smith-Schuster, Jacoby Myers, and Adam Thielen. What are you doing? I guess Elijah Moore a little upside, but like, are you just trying to draft the boringest team possible because you succeeded? Yeah, guy is just extremely scared of a fast receiver, I guess. Only 4-6 receivers on the roster. Miles Sanders was good value, but at the time he went, where did he go? 116. Yeah, so that's middle of the value zone. That's kind of what you're getting. It was good value, really good value. Rather have like Dobbins for 12, and Javonte for 7, but Miles Sanders for 10 is good. Overall, Kevo's team's solid. I would say it has a wide range of outcomes just based on like what's Chris Godwin going to be, what's Hopkins going to be, Richardson, Watson, just a lot of question marks. Kelsey's knee, Miles Sanders could suck, could be good. I think overall I'm going to give him a B minus. Now we're moving on to Zittich. And I do tend to analyze like Tarek and Toe, their drafts a little more because I know they're actually thinking about things and not just mindlessly doing whatever like half of you guys. So there's a little bit more to analyze. So Tarek's draft, similar position to me, where my first pick was 43rd player was really my first pick. Tarek's was 21st. So he was kind of feeling the heat a little bit, I would say. Given the circumstances with top three QBs off the board, I think, or let me see. Josh Allen was 16, yeah. Mahomes was gone, and then was Hurts gone too? Hurts was not gone yet. So you had 2 of the top 3 QBs gone, and then Lamar's up. So getting him for 61, it's not terrible. It's also not really a deal. I think I'd probably rather have Hurts and Allen, and then I think Lamar and then Mahomes would probably be the 4th best value out of those 4, I would say. But if you're getting like a tier 1 QB like that, you're not really looking to get like incredible value. You're just looking to get him on the roster. CeeDee Lamb I think was fine. Yeah, I guess CeeDee Lamb was fine. He's just kind of the one guy up here that I guess Diggs I didn't want. CeeDee Lamb I didn't really want that much. Devontae Adams I didn't want. But with the stack with Dak, it's pretty good. 42 is probably you're just paying market rates. Dak Prescott also market rates, if not a little above. Didn't really like it, but I guess if you have CeeDee Lamb, it's not terrible. I think this time period also picked 67. Yeah, so Daniel Jones went 59. Not really the time to be going QB, it seems. But I guess conceivably you could have Dak ranked like number 10 or something, and then maybe it looks like value. So this is where Tarek started to botch things a little bit, I would say. Christian Watson, I think, was fine. If we're looking at his roster, I mean, I did really want Christian Watson. Definitely some upside. And you have like some nice high ceiling wide receivers here. So, I mean, you're probably getting him at value at a time where I think it was starting to become apparent that there were deals to be had. So this is where Tarek just went into full on, in my opinion, get your guys mode, where he should have just been willing to let his guys go and scoop up incredible deals later on. Maybe not, if you're not going to do it with Christian Watson. Breece Hall was egregious AF, if you ask me. Like, I will say it's good value. And if you are, he could just be the best player of all time. That is definitely possible. And if that's your take, then I guess whatever. Like, but you're passing on so much value just because you had to get your guy for $30. And that left you, that really broke the bank. So while it is not an incredible overpay like Devontae Adams or Tyler Lockett or something, I will say it's probably up there with the overpays of the draft just based on the full context. Not a great pick. And then also Marvin Mims. Like, is that like why would you take Marvin Mims for $3 when you can probably get like, I don't know, better? So at this point your max bid was like 6, 7, something like that. And what you wound up with was Marvin Mims, Quentin Johnston, who's really bad, Samaje Perine, which is good, and A-Chain, who I think will never play, but we'll see. Probably could have turned that into something better. I think if you group that with the $30 you spent on Breece Hall and you just like break it down, like the way Toe did is definitely better. Like just James Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, I don't really like, but like maybe a $10 receiver or something. That's better than $30 Breece Hall. I mean, Breece Hall could be the league winner, though, I guess. He definitely could. It's possible. So overall, Tarek's team, if we're looking at it as a complete roster here, there's some holes. I mean, Flex is weak. RB2 is weak to start the year for sure. He'll manufacture something, definitely. But if we're just basing it on the team he drafted, B-. This is going to be a long video. We're moving on to Zell. Zell definitely deviated a little bit from the plan. He did end up spending 70, 80, almost $90, I guess, on QBs again. Jonathan Taylor for 13. I was thinking about this after the draft. Probably a pretty good deal. A lot of upside. Aaron Jones, just like completely off my draft board. But Zell gets him for, I guess market value. Gets some boring receivers, Mike Williams, Amari Cooper, and Njoku. Kenneth Walker for 26 is not bad. Mike Evans, Rashad White, bunch of guys I didn't want. JSN for 10. So this was also, I let him go. I wanted him pretty badly, but it's at a time where there was better deals to be had down the road, I thought. But I don't hate it. Jordan Love for 13. He likes to do the 3 QB rotation. Jordan Love's a good third, I guess. A little pricey. And then Addison Kirk. So, like, he has a deep roster, but the scoring power in the starting lineup, not the best. Overall, if we're looking at his team, really, I mean, other than Trevor Lawrence, you could say no tier one players, and Trevor Lawrence is like borderline tier one. Yeah, just so last year this is what happened too, except he did have Josh Allen, but then like every $7 guy in his bench hit. So like it's possible that it happens again. Seems unlikely. I guess Jamal Williams you can probably plug into. Not really. Yeah. I don't love the team, but it's you could see it working out. I'm gonna go C for Zell. Next up, we got Lou, who I did not look at his team too much, but I remember thinking initially it was pretty decent. Okay, so he goes Pollard for 49, which is market rate based on where I have him ranked as RB3, but like if you want Pollard, you're probably like chalking him into your build as like a $42 player or something, and then you're happy. 49 is you're paying a lot for him. Don't love it. Herbert was probably the biggest overpay at QB, I want to say. I mean, Burrow's significantly better than Herbert. I would say this is like a teardrop to me. And Herbert's probably closer to Lawrence, honestly. $58. I don't know. The guy could just be bad. Jacobs 41 is fine. Not a deal. Not yeah, it's just market rate. So his three highest paid players, pretty much market rate or above. Amon-Ra St. Brown, slightly below, but I have him ranked higher than ESPN and stuff does. So if you like him, you probably wanted to get him for like low 40s. 47 is probably at market rate. Not great. Brock Purdy 19, also not great, I would say. Probably market rate. Marquise Brown I thought was a pretty bad pick. $9 right in the deal zone. Yeah, just lighting money on fire. What do you want Marquise Brown for $9 for? Maybe if he gets traded, I guess, but like I don't see how he's going to be good on the Cardinals. Ayuk for 11 was good. This is in the deal zone also. Mac Jones gets QB3. He thinks that is worth spending money on as opposed to getting incredible deals on other positions. He did get Antonio Gibson for 2, which I thought was really good. Bench doesn't look super great, but it's okay. Probably would just rather not have Mac Jones and have like a little bit better bench would be my preference, but you can probably turn Mac Jones into something down the road if you need to. Lou's team's fine. It's pretty much like a very, very just average, very average draft. No real incredible deals out. I guess Ayuk is a pretty incredible deal, and Gibson was a deal that's kind of offset by some of the slight overpays. I'll give Lou a B overall. Now we're on to Chappie's team. I remember some early overpays, but let's see what happened here. So right off the bat, Bills D, Gerald Everett, $2 each. Why? Why are you doing that? Doesn't make any sense. Goff for 27 was... Where's Goff here? So I think I have Goff ranked a little higher than standard, and 27 was at value. The time that Chappie got him was really early. I don't think any QBs in this range had gone yet, so he was kind of setting the market. Really, this is just like you don't want QBs in this zone, especially for the prices they go. You're way better off just getting QBs in the green zone up here or the green zone down here. So Chappie goes with 2 red zone QBs here, which is really bad. Just a bad foundation for a team. Just like high-priced, mediocre quarterbacks. Don't really like it. But the price you paid, I mean, it's a slight overpay. Like, it's not going to sink your whole draft if you just go $10 over budget on mediocre QBs, really. So you're fine. Keenan Allen, I mean, I like the guy probably more than anyone in the league, and you paid my market rate for him, if not slightly above, so probably an overpay. Olave was one of the biggest tier, I won't call it tier 1, but just like top tier. This is kind of like where I think the actual good receivers end. but this is broken down into subsequent tiers. But like Olave, you can see like kind of a big overpay. We're like in the $30 range down here, and you're spending $41. Yeah, he's also like probably the guy on this entire list I wanted the least after like Devontae Adams and Diggs. Just don't want the old guys really. So yeah, Olave's an overpay. James Conner, $18. The time you got him, you couldn't really know that he would have gone for like $6 later on in the draft, but not good. Definitely not good value. Darren Waller for 12, not really good value. Khalil Herbert for 11, so he would have also gone for like $6 probably if you got him later on. Okay, so Devontae Smith, probably your best value pick. Actually, a really good value. I remember Zell should have had him for sure. George Pickens, just follow it up with an extreme overpay. But I would expect, I guess it's at market value. I would expect an overpay on Pickens from you. Kamara for 12 is fine, I guess. Warren for 8. Rounds out the team with some nice talent, I guess. I like Mooney. Mooney's good. It's just, I don't know if he's going to get like good volume, good passes. Odell Beckham probably sucks, but whatever. Charbonnet for 5 is an overpay, but it could be good. Not terrible. I don't think you really like, found a lot of value. You probably overpaid on the whole. But if you're right about your guys, I guess you could be onto something here. But I'm going to go C+ for Chappie. Then we have Elway. Now, I remember Elway's draft going early on, very good, and then I remember some really egregious buys. Actually, one of the worst purchases in the entire draft was DJ Moore. This is already, the deal zone has kicked off. Everyone who's paying attention is aware. Everyone going right now is a steal, and you go $21 DJ Moore. Now let's just look. This is pick 114, $21 DJ Moore. What could that have been? 115, $10 Jimmy Garoppolo. 116. Is this $8 Miles Sanders? $10 Miles Sanders. 117. $13 Jordan Love. 118. $9 Marquise Brown. That's not really a deal. 119. $5 Zach Charbonnet. 120. $7 Jordan Addison. Haven't really found a huge deal other than Miles Sanders yet, I guess. 121. $5 Cortland Sutton. $11 Brandon Ayuk. So right there. Could have had $11 Brandon Ayuk. You could have had two of them, actually. Two $11 Brandon Ayuks instead of DJ Moore. $11 James Cook. You could have had James Cook and Brandon Ayuk instead of DJ Moore. And it wasn't a mystery at the time. It was something you could have foreseen. $5 Bryce Young. $3 Kyler Murray, which I think is one of the steals of the draft, especially for my build. $4 Mac Jones. You get the picture. $7 Javonte Williams. $21 DJ Moore. One of the worst overpays of the draft. Also, $27 Alexander Madison was also just a really bad overpay when you could kind of see the deal zone coming on. Maybe at this point it was not fully known, so you can't completely fault him. But if we look at the full build, Josh Allen, $65. I like it. Good value for top-tier QB. $43 Diggs. You like the stack. I didn't really want Diggs, but I mean, it's going to be, when they're on, it's going to be tough to beat the stack. Geno Smith, $33. A little bit of an overpay, I would say. I have it as actually a little bit of value because I wasn't too sure where to rank these guys, really. This whole range here was kind of a toss-up. I think Deshaun Watson's definitely top of the tier, but other than that, not really sure. So Geno, depending on where you had him, I guess it's not terrible. Dameon Pierce, $23. Don't love it, but it's whatever, I guess. Deontay Johnson was one of my linchpin players, actually. He went for a little too much. I wanted him. Actually, I remember this moment in the draft a lot, too. The deal zone, you could have seen it coming on when Deontay Johnson was nominated. I really wanted him, but I had to let him go. $16, not mad at it. I think he'll be solid. He'll be a solid starter for you. The thing with DJ Moore is he even going to be a solid starter for you? It's tough to say. I mean, he could have a career year. He is one of the better, probably like top 10 talent-wise receivers in the NFL, but I don't know. Anything can happen with the Chicago receivers. I mean, when's the last time they've had like a usable receiver? It's been since before Justin Fields. Kyle Pitts for 4 was a good deal at tight end. I wish I would have gotten it, actually. Probably the second best deal after Goddard for 3. Or maybe Andrews. I don't know. Everyone seemed to think Andrews was like an incredible deal. I think it was a deal, but not incredible. I think Pitts and Goddard were probably the 2 best deals, followed by Andrews. And then Cooks for 7. I don't like it, but if you believe in Cooks, I guess it's fine. Gets 2 Philadelphia running backs, which is good. Van Jefferson. Jamison Williams, yeah. So, I mean, fills out the bench pretty nice. Overall, Elway's draft isn't terrible, but it just could have been so much better. Lot left on the table. Depends how you feel on his guys, I guess, a lot. Like, I don't really like the running backs, but I can see people who do like the running backs. If you think he got 2 workhorse running backs, then he has a good team. I think he has 2, like maybe 1 workhorse running back and 1 guy that might get benched after like 4 weeks. Overall, it's a solid draft. Bench is solid. Could have been a lot better, though. I'm going to go with a B. Solid B. Now we're on to King. I think he was one of the guys who navigated the draft the best. After me, after Toe, slightly above Tarek, I would say. Lou actually navigated the draft. No, not really. On to West Telly. See, I think this year you actually don't want to have a lot of $1 guys. Typically, I would say $1 guys correlates heavily to success. I think it's the inverse this year. This is an ideal bench. But I do think King had like a little bit of, like, he had $5 left over at the end. Actually, even Zay Flowers went for a little more. So, like, maybe he didn't plan perfectly. Probably had $8 that were unused. So if we look at King, gets Bijan early on, goes 2 defenses for some reason. Gets Bijan early on. Justin Fields was the last, I believe he was the last. Yeah, I think by the time Fields went, I believe Burrow and Herbert were both gone. So maybe. At least one of them was gone. So Fields was the last real, like, tier 1 QB. Tier 2, I guess you could say. But one of the last QBs, I guess, that really has a shot of being the overall QB1. 59. I don't hate it. I think it's appropriate where you're getting him. Since he is the last one, you would actually probably expect him to go for more. So the fact that he only went for 59, it's not terrible. Bijan, I wanted to avoid him at all costs. But if you believe in him, you got him for a decent price. Calvin Ridley, 33, probably at value. I'm a pretty big believer. Maybe a little bit of an overpay, actually. But if you believe in him, that's fine. I don't really like having a receiver and a running back on the same team. ETN for 37 is good, but if he would have been nominated just a little bit later, probably would have gone for like 27. But ETN, I do think, has the potential to be RB1 if things break right. But it doesn't. It seems like maybe he's going to share time and stuff. I don't know. Might just be a workhorse back also, though. Russell Wilson, revenge year for 20. That's an overpay. But at the time you got him, you didn't really know that was going to be an overpay. I guess it also depends where you rank him. Don't love it. Drake London, $12. Also a little bit of an overpay, I would say, at the time you got him. At the start of the draft, if you got Drake London for $12, I think you'd be happy. Cortland Sutton for 5. Michael Pittman for 5. Just 2 guys I don't really want. CJ Stroud for 4 is fine. Goddard for 3 is a deal. David David Montgomery for 7, also one of the better deals at running back, I would say. And then the rest of the bench, just fine guys. Overall, solid draft. I think the trajectory you took through the draft was good. Just the players you got, not my personal faves. So for that reason, I'm going to go B+. All right, then we got my... Oh, Borg's going to have to wait till last to hear his team. He's not going to like that. My team. We got... So, the way the draft went for me was I didn't get a guy early, and I saw a lot of deals going early, so I got a little nervous and basically just blank checked Joe Burrow, which I felt was necessary. Otherwise, it just wasn't going to be good. Had to lock in value just at market rate, whatever. Probably slightly above market rate, you could say. I don't hate it, but it's not like one of my guys. He's probably the guy after Herbert. Probably the guy in this tier that I wanted the least after Herbert, really. But had to take him, I guess. A.J. Brown, another guy I wasn't really targeting. It's just I felt like I needed to roster a player. And, I mean, I got him at value. I just would definitely have preferred, like, Amon-Ra for 47. Definitely Tyreek for 50. Justin Jefferson even for 56, although I don't think I really could have afforded that at the time. I'm fine with A.J. Brown. He's just not really like a guy I wanted that badly. Garrett Wilson, 42. Same thing, really. I'm happy with him, but honestly, like my top 4 players are really not guys I had in mind to go after and get. Is just kind of, I would say Jahmyr Gibbs was value. The other 3, I just felt the urgency to lock in people on my roster that, you know, can contribute fantasy points. Otherwise, it could have gotten a little messy. So I locked in 3 guys just kind of at value, nothing special. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, was a slight deal. All the top running backs kind of were. Jahmyr Gibbs with a deal. T. Higgins, I think, was one of the best deals of the Tier 1 receivers. Pairing him with Burrow, kind of an incredible steal at that moment. And then this is where the masterclass began. I hope you guys were paying attention. Everyone's scrambling for QB. I was also kind of like, hey, if I can just lock in $12 Jimmy Garoppolo, get a second QB on my roster, then I can kind of know what I can do the rest of the draft. Resisted temptation, saw what was happening, people spending way too much money, just settled for $5 Bryce Young. Why not? I mean, I could go, like, ideally, yeah, I would like Sam Howell or Kenny Pickett. That's who I was kind of targeting, even Brock Purdy. Jordan Love would have been fine too. But is it that big of a difference over Bryce Young? I mean, maybe if these guys really have breakout seasons, but probably not. So just decided, yeah, I'm going to go QB by committee for QB2 and try to get better deals throughout the rest of the draft. And I think that was the play. I'm really excited about Kyler Murray, $3. Yeah, he could just not play, but it's $3. Huge upside, especially for my build. Love it. Javonte Williams, $7. One of the steals of the draft, in my opinion. Just huge potential, huge upside. Gabe Davis, I think he'll be solid. I think he'll kind of have a bounce back year. $4, not bad. DeAndre Swift, just going like talent wins out approach here. I mean, I don't believe in the guy at all. Just, you know, glass bones, has no will to win or even like play football at all, but he's really good, so maybe. Elijah Mitchell, $2. You know, I like it. Like it for $2. Think he could have standalone value. Also huge potential upside if McCaffrey gets hurt. Freiermuth was probably an overpay at the time. And then Ingram, I just tried bidding him because I thought he would go for 2, just getting some dollars out of there. And then the rest of the draft is whatever. So overall, I'm pretty happy. I mean, it's not as good as Toe's draft. I will say that. I do think it's probably the second best draft. I'll go A-. We're moving on to Aiko's team here. One of the worst drafts, definitely. It started off so promising, too. He's done this 2 consecutive years. I forget who. Last year, it was like $19 Adam Thielen, I remember. Actually, let me check here. Draft recap. Let's go to what happened last year to Aiko's team. He gets Deontay Johnson, Cam Akers. Wait, is this last year? Yeah. Stephon Diggs. Where was the disaster? $12 Adam Thielen was the disaster. Yeah. And then he had to just go all $1. I think Aiko has some kind of irrational fear of like having money left for his bench. It's okay to have money left on your bench, guys. Especially this year. So Aiko comes out, gets, I would say, a great deal on McCaffrey. Incredible deal on Eckler. He's sitting pretty. He has the top two running backs in fantasy football for $110. All he has to do is sit back, take value. Sit back. Let the draft come to you. What does he do? 18 picks later, $47 Davante Adams. Just makes absolutely no sense. Look at this. See how these guys are all going for like, see how this is like a $29 player and you have a $47 player right next to him. What are you doing? I mean, I guess you could conceivably have Davante Adams like wide receiver 5 or something, and then it's still an overpay, but not as bad. But it just makes no sense. That's not the worst pick, though. Like, I can kind of get behind. I would get behind it a little more if you actually got like a top 3 guy like Tyreek Hill for 50. If that's what you did, I'd be like, okay, whatever. He's just going pure stars and scrubs approach. But this is where it gets crazy. $33 Joe Mixon. By far and away the absolute worst pick in the entire draft. You have 2 running backs locked in. Here's what happens when you then go $33 Joe Mixon. You're locked into a running back in your flex for the entire year. So what that means is you don't do this anyway, but good players do this. You churn your bench with running backs and wide receivers trying to find something. Something might materialize. You could find a breakout league-winning player on your bench that you can then plug into running back or wide receiver. For you, though, it can only be wide receiver, and you'll probably have to work a trade or something if you do find a running back. And it's just, I mean, it also submarined the remainder of your draft. You can't get value at wide receiver. $29 Rodgers. I mean, at this point, you're just trying to get what you can get at QB. But just imagine if you don't get $33 Joe Mixon, which I'm even fine with getting another running back if it just falls in your lap. But look at what you're doing here. Where is this guy? Where's Mixon? Right here. My value, $14. You went 33. I mean, whatever. I guess you can have him like way up here, and some people do. And then maybe you got him at value, but oh, it's really bad. But if you don't get Joe Mixon for 33, maybe you just get Toe's entire like 11 player run here. Cam Akers 11, James Cook 11, J.K. Dobbins 12. But instead of running backs, just imagine those are all receivers, like Brandon Ayuk $11. Jahan Dotson, $11. Sky Moore, $3. Like, any of these guys are better than $33 Joe Mixon. Just absolute botch job. Rodgers for $29. It's an overpay. It's not great. Sam Howell for $19. Actually, not terrible at the time you got him. Sam Howell for $19 was pretty good. And then what are you doing with your bench? We've been over this, but, like, why are you drafting QB handcuffs? What are you doing? Do you have any conception on how to win? I know you've won one, right? I think just one. But do you have any conception on like how badly this limits your chances of winning a championship when you're drafting Zach Wilson? Joshua Dobbs is fine, but Zach Wilson, Jacoby Brissett. Why do you have QB handcuffs for terrible QBs? It makes no sense. Like Jacoby Brissett, plug him into the Washington offense and he's like QB 25 or something. Why don't you draft like, I don't know, whoever Josh Allen's backup is, or like I don't even know, Joe Burrow's backup. Like, you're way better off, or Tua's backup even. These guys are way better than your terrible Jacoby Brissett. Josh Kelly, why are you drafting? Ugh, it's just so bad. You have no potential on the bench at all. So Aiko actually has the worst draft, I would say. So that is a absolute F. And then we are moving on to Borg's. We're going to circle back. We're going to talk about Borg's team. Got to do it. Didn't get enough of it last night, so we are doubling back today. So Borg starts out solid, I would say. Tyreek Hill 50, Justin Jefferson 56, both cheaper than I expected. It's kind of like the price I would be comfortable paying for them. Which I'd say is a little under the price they went for. So the first two draft picks are good value. Kittle is fine at 6, I guess. Najee Harris, I think, is where things started to go a little bit haywire. But, I mean, if you're a believer, you think he's a workhorse back. You had him last year, I think, and you kind of experienced the Najee experience. But, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I just avoid running backs in this whole range, like the aging, really bad running backs. Judy for 8 was pretty good, I think, because it seems like he could be back pretty soon. So Judy for 8's not bad. So your receiving core is then kind of set. So that makes $21 Tyler Lockett even worse. I actually think that is up there also. DJ Moore, Joe Mixon, and Tyler Lockett. Even Breece Hall, although I do believe in Breece Hall more than any of the other three. Those are probably the 3 biggest botch jobs in the draft, I want to say. Was there any others? Also Devontae Adams. Yeah, those probably. I would even say Alexander Madison's like in contention there. Yeah, those are probably Olave. Olave's no, I wouldn't even put Olave in that category. Yeah, those are the big botch jobs. So, yeah, you have 3 solid-ish receivers. Maybe Judy is a little bit questionable. You know, maybe he comes on late, whatever. But do you need $21 Tyler Lockett? It's just, I mean, my value on him, I was probably low on him, and he does produce every year, but like $10 probably. Ramondre Stevenson, I thought was good value. So, I mean, even if you do just, you know, have Tyler Lockett $21, it's like a $10 to $15 overpay, especially at the time you got him, but it's not the end of the world. Then you go Ramondre Stevenson. I like it a lot for $30. Kenny Pickett for 22, probably value. Stafford for 18, I think, was not very good, especially at the time you got him. So this was when there was like a little bit of QB scarcity in the air, but an adequate drafter could see through the scarcity and realize that you're going to be getting like some $3 QBs at the end of this. So I think Stafford realistically is like probably a $10 QB. I mean, a couple overpays. On the whole, it's not terrible. It just could have been a lot better if you didn't get Lockett, and just for my preference, getting a different running back like Najee Harris, $29. Maybe if you got like, yeah, I guess it's just guys I like better, like Kenneth Walker, $26. But you did get one of the best deals of the draft at running back, I would say, Ramondre for $30. So it's not terrible. I was maybe a little more down on Borg's team before I looked through it all here. It's not terrible. Lockett just really was bad. Got CPM for $1. Zay Jones. The bench is not bad. Yeah, bench isn't bad. Borg did a little better than I expected, actually. I'm going to say Borg's a B+. And I think that is going to conclude the video. Do I got anything else? No, not really. That's the video. Those are the draft grades. I'm going to post this, I guess, in the WhatsApp thing. And give me your takes. This took me 50 minutes, so let's see how long the final video is.